Good afternoon and welcome to our afternoon Money Making Mom Scope. This afternoon we're going to be talking about building a team and outsourcing and how to get people to help you so that you're not the one who is doing everything yourself. And so many people have asked me about how do you outsource? How do you know when you're ready to? So we're going to be talking about that today. I have a new hairstyle than I had this morning. My 8-year-old daughter, Caitlin, asked me if she could fix my hair for my scope. So this is the braid she's meant. If you follow along on my Instagram, I'm the MoneySavingMom on Instagram, and she's been playing around with my hair today. And so she's trying a lot of different things, and she actually learned how to do a waterfall braid, but she said it didn't look good for a scope. So y'all, this is what she wanted to have for the scope. So anyway, I know she is so great. Okay, so how do you know when it is time to bring someone on? How do you build a team? How do you find good people? This is a question that people ask me all the time, and we're going to talk about it today and how to do it on a budget. Oh, Caitlin, did you want to come say hi with your unmatching outfit? I just told them that you that you did my hair for me. You want to come say hi? Dirt all over your face. You gotta come up here so they can see you. You were outside playing on the trampoline?
Yes.
Okay. What did you want to tell them? Did you want to tell them anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I just wanted to fix your hair, but
oh, well, yeah, you can't fix my hair during the scope, but another time. Okay, go play. Alrighty. I don't think Caitlin's ever coming on a scope, so alrighty. So let me give you a little bit of background on me and on maybe why I can speak to this subject. First off, I am the founder of MoneySavingMom.com, as well as the New York Times bestselling author of the book Say Goodbye to Survival Mode. And I have been running my own online business for 10 years. And over the course of those 10 years, I have had a number of different people work for me in a number of different capacities. I have also worked as a virtual assistant in the very early days. I did some virtual assistant work. So I've kind of been on both sides of the coin. And so I feel like that's given me perspective that maybe you wouldn't have if you've only done one or the other. So I started the business Money Saving Mom in 2007, and it blew up kind of in the first year, and within a year we were making a full-time income. Well, then it was more than full-time hours, and I was overwhelmed. And I remember when I had my third child, I had 3 blogs, which is not smart, but I had 3 blogs, and I was trying to do way too much, and kind of got to this place where I was so overwhelmed and so overworked that just really losing my health, losing my marriage, everything was in chaos, and I was not doing a good job of anything. But I'm such a type A driven kind of person that I just thought if I just push a little harder, if I just get a little bit more organized, I'm gonna be able to figure this out. But that was really not what needed to happen. 1, I needed to delete a bunch of things from my plate, and 2, I needed to delegate. It was very hard for me to be willing to delegate because I felt like, isn't that extravagant? And I can do everything myself, can't I? But no. A smart business owner knows that they cannot do everything themselves, and that they're going to be so much better if they don't do everything themselves for the long haul. So there are 3 questions that I think you need to ask when you're deciding whether it's time to outsource. Number 1, what is the hardest thing right now? So if you are feeling overwhelmed, that is a good indication that maybe it is time to consider outsourcing. So what's the hardest thing right now? If you are a mom, your hardest thing might not be keeping up with your social media. It might be your laundry. For me, that's what it was. So I had these 3 little kids, and we're trying to homeschool, and my husband's starting his law firm, and I was overwhelmed, and it was the laundry pile that was pointing its finger at me and saying, you are failing. Because I'm really good at washing, and I'm really good at drying, and I'm horrible at folding and putting away. So we had this massive pile in our room. And every time that I would come into the room, I would see this laundry pile, and it would just be pointing its finger at me saying, "You're a failure." That's what I felt like. And I was talking to my husband, I was saying, "I'm just so overwhelmed. What am I supposed to do?" And he said, "One, you're bringing this on yourself. You're doing way too much. And two, let's get some help." And I was like, I can't get help. I'm Money Saving Mom. Like, that's extravagant. And he said, "No, you're at the place where you are earning enough money that you need to get some help. You're working too many hours." So we hired a girl from our church to come in and start helping us one day a week with the laundry. I didn't necessarily, I needed help with the business, but more than that, I needed help with my life. So when you think of outsourcing, it's not necessarily only business stuff. Start with, what is your biggest pain point? Start there. So ask yourself, number one, what's the hardest thing? Is it your laundry? Is it trying to run a business while you have kids? Is it business tasks? For me, so it was the laundry, and that once we had the mother's helper coming in 5 hours a week, it made such a difference for me. But then I realized that I was doing too much also with the business. So I really looked for, what is the hardest thing? What are those pain points? What are those things that I am pulling my hair out over? The number one thing for me was graphic design. I'm really, really bad at graphic design. So I started realizing I've got to bring on some help for this. So I hired Joy Miller from 5J's Design, and she just helped me with, I was at that time getting ready to switch from TypePad, the blogging platform, to WordPress. She helped me make the switch, and it was so helpful to have her help me do that. But then I said, "Could you stay on and just work a few hours a week when I have these technical issues and all that?" Well, the thing that I discovered is that she could do in 15 minutes what it would take me 4 hours to do. So instead of me having to pull my hair out and spend hours on this graphic design and techie stuff, I could pay her and she could just get it done. It was so simple for her. So it saved me so much time, but it really didn't cost me that much money because I was hiring somebody that was their expertise. So what are the hardest things for you right now? Recently, that's been my email inbox. As my team has grown, I now have, I think I have 17 people. I need to go and do a head count again because we've kind of had some restructuring recently, but my email inbox was getting it was too much because a lot of the people report to me. And so my email inbox is how they report to me. So there was a lot of emails in there and it was overwhelming. So we figured out that we needed to get some help from me with my email inbox. So I was looking and looking and looking, and finally this perfect assistant came and was dropped in my lap, and it was such a blessing. And we'll talk more how you find that person, but that was a big pain point for me. So what are the hardest things? Number one, ask yourself. Number two, ask yourself, does it have to be done? Thanks for sharing, Wendy. Does it have to be, and thanks Danielle too, does it have to be done? Because so much of the time, I think we guilt ourselves into feeling like we have to do all these things that other people do, when really maybe it doesn't have to be done. So before you go to hire somebody to do that for you, make sure it's really a necessity. Ask yourself, is it contributing to the bottom line? If possible, I try to be hiring people who are contributing to my bottom line, or people who are freeing me up to do things that contribute to the bottom line. You don't want to hire people just to do busy work for you. And number three, what's realistic in your budget? What do you have? What is realistic in your budget? Now, like I talked about with Joy Miller, when I hired her and she could do in 15 minutes what it took me 4 hours to do, then it freed me up to focus more on things that brought in more. So our business income actually ended up tripling in the first 2 years that I started hiring on people. It was the best decision we ever made. I'm going to walk you through how to hire and how to find those people, but you have to ask yourself these 3 questions first. What's the hardest thing right now? Does it have to be done? And what's realistic in your budget? Now, At first, maybe you could barter. Maybe you just barter for someone to help you with a pain point and you help them in another way. Get creative. It doesn't have to necessarily look like other people would think it looks. You can also look at Upwork. They're a site where you can post your jobs and you can find freelancers. Maybe you don't need someone long term. Maybe you just need someone for a project. Upwork and 5R. Those are two sites that are great to find those contract people, and maybe then you find that you hire them to do the small graphic design job or small data entry project or something like that, and then you discover that you love this person, they're helping you so much, and so you hire them on long term. But don't feel like you need to start with some part-time person. I am a big fan of starting as small as you can and then gradually increase. Let your business grow much faster, the income grow much faster than the outgo. Right now, we spend thousands and thousands of dollars every month just to run our business. I would never be in a place to do that. When I first started, that would be dumb, that would not be smart, and that would be setting myself up for getting in the hole. But we have an emergency fund for our emergency fund for the business and money set aside so that if for the next 6 months we did not earn anything, we have money set aside that we could run the business. But that did not happen in the beginning. So we had to start out really small. Also think about how much is your time worth. I set an hourly wage for myself, and that really helped me to determine what I should be spending my time on. So I want to spend my time where the biggest return on my investment of time is going to be. So if I can have someone else be spending time on something that is, maybe it's going to take them longer than it would take me, but I'm going to pay them 1/10 of what my hourly wage is, then it's worth it. I heard Chalene Johnson, she just did an outsourcing podcast, and she was talking about outsourcing to the Philippines where you can pay like $4 an hour for workers there. I've never done that personally, but she was saying how if you typically make $12 an hour for every hour you work, then it's a no-brainer to pay somebody $4 an hour to free up 2 more hours for you a week. And so think in those terms. For instance, just last week, I was talking earlier about, on another scope about our underwritten post, and we charge between $1,500 to $2,500 for our underwritten post, which is actually on the low end for the traffic, but because we update our site so often, I can't charge what somebody who only updates their site once a day could charge. But anyway, so it was, I'm training my new assistant, and it was taking her longer to do this post than it would have taken me because she's in training. But she did the whole thing almost all herself. So it was totally worth it for me to have her spend a little bit longer because that freed me up to focus my time on things that are going to bring in more. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but like the return on investment of time, I'm constantly thinking of that. So I'm putting people in areas where they are bringing the biggest return on investment of time to free me up to focus my hours on those things that only I can do that are going to bring in the best return. So in my book, Money Making Mom, that comes out November 3rd. Yay! I'm so excited. That's next week. Can you believe it, people? I have a section in there where I talk about growing your business. And I talk about how to grow a team. And here's some really specific counsel that I outline in the book that I want to share with you. You can see how so I tell the story of like starting to grow the team, and then I have this is how when I read a book, I have very practical information because I'm not just all story driven. I want to give you bullet points to go by so that you have very specific takeaways. So I want to just go through this with you because if you're thinking, thank you, Keely, if you're thinking of wanting to hire somebody, this is what I challenge you to do. And this is from 10 years and lots of mistakes. Oh, we have another visitor this afternoon. Silas has been missing my scopes recently, and I think, did you want to say anything to them? Did you want to tell them about the Royals game last night?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, what happened with the Royals last night?
They won.
They won. So what's the score?
2-0.
2-0. Yep. Pretty exciting, huh? Were you outside playing?
Nope.
They're saying, "Go Royals." And they said, "Hey, Silas." Okay, you say bye. Okay. All right. So let's walk through this. Write a detailed job description. This is imperative. You can't just say, "You know what? I think I really need an executive assistant," or "I really need somebody to help me with this." You need to write a detailed job description. Make a list of every responsibility the position would entail. Now, sometimes for me, this has just been when I'm saying I'm feeling overwhelmed. And so I will write down everything right now that is making me feel overwhelmed. And that helps me to figure out, could I outsource some of that? Have firsthand knowledge into what you expect the hire to do so you can best evaluate his or her performance. I see this happening a lot where people, they say, "Oh, we want to grow our business, so we're going to hire a social media expert." Well, I'm just going to be really honest with you and say a lot of the people that claim to be social media experts are not really social media experts. They might have read a lot of great things, but I want to know, what have they done? Show me proof that you know what you're talking about. But also, I want to know how to do it, because I don't know how to evaluate performance if I don't know how to do it myself. So I learn myself before I hand it off to someone else. I learned how to do Pinterest and how Pinterest worked, and how we increased our Pinterest our unique visitors to MoneySavingMom by over 500,000 visitors a month through Pinterest. But that was because I spent hours and hours and hours tweaking and experimenting and learning myself before I handed it off to someone else. You have to know how to do it yourself in order to be able to hire somebody to do it well, because here's the thing, you won't know. So if somebody came to me, for instance, there was a company that wanted to, that I was looking into hiring to help with my Pinterest, but then I started looking at their stats and I started looking at what they were doing, and I thought, that is not good enough. That's okay, but we can do so much better by the strategy that we're employing. So because I have had my fingers in Pinterest and know how it works, then I'm able to hire somebody and know what I can expect as far as performance, and I can teach them so that they do it well. So sometimes people are, complaining about "Oh, it's so hard. I don't want to learn this." But yes, you don't want to be doing some of these things long term, but learn it at first so that you can be able to outsource it well, because you won't know otherwise. Somebody brings you the Pinterest reports and say, "Hey, we increased your unique visitors by 100,000. And you wouldn't know that that's actually a really low number, because if you haven't experienced it and haven't done it yourself. So as much as it's possible, learn to do it yourself before you hire someone else to do it. Start small. Hire on a part-time basis, a few hours a week before you make the full-time or even part-time plunge. So start really small. Start slowly. So this is one of my big secrets to hiring well. I never hire somebody right out of the gate for a virtual position, or let's just say in the last few years. I've learned this the hard way. In the last few years, I've never hired someone right out of the gate and said, "You look like you have all the skills and talents. I like you. You're hired." What I do is I give them a small, short-term job. We start with that. So I'll say, for instance, my assistant that I just recently hired, I said, "I really like you. I think you have the skill set. You have the Myers-Briggs personality to work well with me. You have past experience. You have everything that I'm looking for, but let's just try this. So for 2 weeks, we're going to have this trial period, and I'm going to throw a bunch of stuff at you for 2 weeks, and you're going to try it out. And we're going to see what works, and you're going to tell me, does this work for you or not? And I'm going to let you know really specific feedback. we had a 2-week trial period. After that 2-week trial period, then I extended it and I said, can you make a little bit more of a commitment to me? And so we extended it for a few more weeks where she was making more hourly commitment to me. And she hasn't even, November 1st is when she's going to start full time with me. But we had weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of vetting and trying it out and practicing and making sure that it was a really good fit for both of us before I made that big full-time plunge. And much of the time, you don't need, especially when you're starting out, you don't need even someone for 20 hours a week. You would be amazed at what a really smart and efficient person can do in 3 hours a week. 30 minutes a day for you. A really smart and efficient person can do a lot in that amount of time. So start very small and work up. And as you're in this trial period, I would say at least you need 6 weeks of trial period where you give them a small short-term job. Maybe you give them another small short-term job. There's no commitment in it for you then, in the sense of that if it doesn't work out, you have no obligation to feel like, I got to keep this person on who is not a good fit. That's the best way to learn if they're a good fit, to just let them jump out and try, but try on a trial basis so that you don't have that commitment long term where you feel like, well, I told them that I was going to hire them part-time, so I guess I'm stuck with them, even though it's a really bad fit. When you're in this trial period, then observe how quickly the person responds to your request, how well he or she handles constructive criticism, and how well you work together. Someone said, how do you let them access your accounts while keeping your privacy? I don't allow them to access accounts at first. I will start with a job that does not require accessing accounts. Then once I feel like, okay, I feel like we're at a place where they can access this, I always have them sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, which basically says you will be privy to information and passwords and things, and if you do anything with this, basically we have legal recourse against you. I want to make it very clear that the information that you learn and you are privy to, you cannot share with other people. And so we always have everyone on our team sign an NDA before I give them any kind of access to anything. But they have to prove themselves to me before I would give them access. So I might even give them a job that is not even something that I need done, but it's going to be something that's going to show the character of what I'm looking for. So observe how quickly they respond to your request, how well they handle criticism, and how well you work together. I am super critical in the beginning, and that might sound bad, but I want to know that I don't have to walk on eggshells with anyone on my team. If I have to walk on eggshells around you, I don't want you on my team. The reason is because if we're going to work together, if we're going to go places, if we're going to get things done, we have got to be able to be honest. Honesty is imperative. We've got to be able to be honest. And so I have got to be able to have the freedom to send an email to someone and say, you know what, I didn't like that at all. Can you fix this? Or could you change this? I don't blah, blah, blah. And that I can just send a 2-sentence email and that they know my heart. They know that I love them. They know that I'm so grateful for them. But I don't have to walk on eggshells and, start it out with saying, you're so wonderful, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to do that. Now, if I'm going to address a much larger issue of some sort, I'm not going to do it by a 2-sentence email. But if we're talking about, hey, I noticed on Pinterest when you're pinning that you've been doing it this certain way, and could we change it because of this? I don't want to have to walk on eggshells. So be very critical, constructively critical in the beginning so that you feel the freedom that they're going to receive criticism well. That's going to help you have so much more success with a person if you know that they can receive criticism well. Focus on the hire's character. Does the person pursue excellence in everything he or she does? I want anyone who works for me to feel invested in what we are doing, because what we do is not just about helping people clip coupons or helping people manage their time better. It's life-changing stuff. And I want people who are on our team to be so excited about what's going on, to be passionate about our messages. And I don't want it to just be a job. if it's just a job, I want you to go find another job somewhere else. I want you to have a commitment to excellence because you understand that when you show excellence in your work, you are showing character that is an example to everyone you come in contact with. I always tell everyone on my team, you, especially those who are traveling with me or interacting with people on a personal level, answering emails or helping with comments or representing me at a conference, I'm like, you are representing Money Saving Mom in everything you do. And people are going to have their impression of our business as a whole based upon your one interaction. So one sentence that's not gracious, one sentence that's not kind, one sentence that's curt, that is going to leave a lasting impression with people. So I want people who are committed to excellence. Focus on the hire's character and make sure you clearly communicate what success looks like. I want to share goals and I want to share progress. I want people to know that they are a very, very vital part of our team, that we could not do what we do without them. You will notice that I talk about my team a lot, and that's one, because I don't want anybody to think I'm doing this by myself, but that's two, because I have surrounded myself with people who are much wiser and smarter and more experienced than me, and I want you to know that what you see, if you see something that looks great, that's because of my team. That is my team. And yes, I am leading the team, but it is my team. If you see something that's bad, it's probably my fault. And I will take ownership, because I take ownership of every single thing that happens in the company. I hired the person, so therefore I own it at the end of the day. So that was from my book, Money Making Mom. If you'd like more information on this book, I'd love for you to check out MoneyMakingMomBook.com, MoneyMakingMomBook.com, where you can read all about this book, why I wrote this book, and also you can learn more about the free bonuses that we're offering only when you pre-order through November 2nd. So that's at MoneyMakingMomBook.com. And when you're there, be sure to sign up for my free 5-day course on how I make a full-time income from home. I think it'll be really insightful to you. So I would love to know if anyone has any questions on this. I know I've kind of thrown a lot of information out there. I would love to know if you have questions on this topic. And watch the outtakes, guys. Yes. Apparently people think that I'm really intense and serious on the internet and that I don't have a goofy side. So if you want to no longer think that, then you need to go to MoneyMakingMomBook.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, and you can see the outtakes from our video shoot. And apparently a lot of people are shocked that I have a sense of humor, people. I do, I guess. So yes. So if you have any questions on anything, I'd love to answer that. And I was also going to mention that what I think about hiring family to help. That's a great question. I would say that I never hire someone because they're friends or family. And a lot of the time, I won't hire them because they're friends or family. Because in certain situations, I know that I want this person to only be my friend, and I feel like there could be some weirdness or some awkwardness or something that could hurt our relationship if I hire them. So I also do not hire people who are friends or family who come to me and offer to work for me. Because typically when people come and offer or ask for a job, they're in a desperate place. I don't want to hire desperate people. How involved is your hubby, Crystal? Are you referring to in the hiring process or something else? Where do you go to find your help? Great question. So I personally have never gone to one of the platforms I talked about, Upwork or Fiverr. I've never gone to one of those platforms to hire someone. I've heard of friends who've had great experience with that. So especially if you're on a limited budget, that's a great place to start. What I have done is I have asked friends and family, so written out a job description, what I'm looking for, asked friends and family, prayed a lot, and then I just start paying attention. So I have hired people who probably would have never considered being in the position that they are for me, because I saw that they had the character and the work ethic and the ability to do the job that I needed done. So I am always on the lookout for new people. I always have a few positions that I would love to hire for, but I never advertise it. And the reason is because I like to personally pick the people. Because the company is small enough, I like to personally pick the people, and usually I will take a few months to vet them. In the sense of sometimes I will take 3 months and I will watch how they interact with people online. I will watch what they're doing on their blog. I will watch their Facebook page and their Twitter. And yes, it sounds like I'm totally stalking them, which I kind of am, because I want to see how are they interacting in stressful situations? How are they interacting when someone criticizes them? How are they dealing with maybe a hard time in their life? And just watching their character, watching their interactions, and then pitching a job to them. So that's happened for me multiple times, but I have always just gone through, looked myself or asked friends and family and my other colleagues. So how can you apply for a position on your team? The best way to be able to apply for a position on my team is to interact with me and do really great work with really great character in whatever sphere that you are in. And I pay attention. I am always paying attention to what other bloggers and other people online are doing, because I always know that I am looking for certain positions, but I have never, I've never advertised that. Now, at some point in time, that might change, but up to this point, that's how it's always worked for me. So there are different networks that you can go through. I know that there are some different places that you can look, but I think that tapping into your local, like your personal network, starting there. A couple of my things are, I like to have met the person face to face. There's only one person on my team, Andrea Decker, that I have actually never met her face to face, but we've talked on the phone and we've Skyped multiple times. And she came highly recommended by another friend of mine who I had met multiple times and had a long history with. Most of the time though, I will not hire someone if I have not met them personally, just because I feel like you can tell a lot by meeting someone face to face. Now with Skype, you can still tell a lot. I think it's very important that you Skype someone before you hire them. You want to see them face to face. You want to make sure you have that eye contact and that connection. We try on our team, most of our meetings are done via Zoom, which is similar to Skype, because you just can tell so much more when you make eye contact with people. I mean, honestly, it's like you think of Periscope. How so many people have been emailing into me and saying, I am connecting with you at a level that I've never connected with you before, because I'm seeing you and I'm hearing you and I can see you. And it's not just reading words on a page, or maybe even a video that was done and edited. It's live and it's real and it's authentic. So I think that there's a connection there that you're not going to get if you just email with someone. Do you enjoy being in a position of leadership? That is a very good question. This has been a really hard year for me in leading a team, and there's a lot of stuff that I can't share publicly, but let's just say that it's been a hard year for me. And it's been very stretching and very growing, and there are many times when I have said I didn't set out to manage a team, and I don't necessarily know that it is managing people. I don't think it's my greatest gift, and it's not something that I see myself doing long term. Long term, I'd like to be more in the strategic position than in the managing position, but I care very, very deeply for people on my team. They are like my family, and let's just say that there's been a lot of family problems this year, and so it's been rough. And I carry it on my shoulders because I care so much for these people. But sometimes I want to just be like, can we just have a week without any big issues and drama? That would be really nice. And it's not drama amongst team members. It's just that some team members that they personally have gone through some really significant struggles this year, and that's made it hard. So, but yes, do I like leading a team? I love pouring into people. I love finding people like helping people be in a place where they're using their gifts and their passions. I love that. Do I love the day-to-day managing of people? Not usually. I am not really, as an INTJ, like the detail stuff is not really my cup of tea. But my team is doing a really great job of more and more pulling things off my plate so that I can focus more on what I love to do, which is things like being on Periscope with you all. That for me has been one of the best gifts to me this year, and you all don't know what a gift it has been to me on many days when I wanted to throw in the towel with the business and say, I'm ready to quit because this whole leading a team is really hard. Periscope has been kind of, yes, I'm an INTJ. Periscope has been my happy place, and it's been a real gift to me after 10 years of blogging. So you all are helping me so much and lifting me up so much, and you probably don't even know it. Growth opportunities, yes, I've had a lot of growth opportunities this year, and yeah, so you keep hearing those personality initials. I might need to take the test. Honestly, taking the test, I actually have a post that is going up tonight on kind of being an INTJ and how that has made, knowing that, how it's made such a difference in my life. And INTJ it's Myers-Briggs. It's the Myers-Briggs personality profile. And oh, thank you, Amira. My thing is, like, being on Periscope, I just want to be honest with you. I don't want you to look at me and think, oh my goodness, that must be so nice to have all those people work for her, and like, it's just, and some days it is really hard. But it's good and it's growing. But anyway, so Myers-Briggs is a personality test that you can take, and it will, honestly, when I took it, I was like, oh my goodness, who got into my head and figured out exactly who I am? It was weird. It was weird. And I guess that there is, we were reading something yesterday that said that only 2% of the population are INTJ, and only 0.8% of the population are female INTJ. So my husband was like, really? I have 2 in my house because our oldest daughter is also INTJ. So he was like, how did I get that? But my oldest daughter, Catherine, she's so like me in so many ways with the INTJ thing. And she's been reading, after she took the test now, she's been reading all up on it. And she's just like, Mom, like, other people get us. They get us. This is us. And so that's been fun. But anyway, so that was a rabbit trail. But I hope that this was encouraging to you and maybe gives you some things to think about. I was going to mention that Chalene Johnson did a really good podcast that I just listened to a couple days ago on outsourcing. So if you go to her Build Your Tribe podcast, you can find the link for her outsourcing podcast, which I would highly recommend, especially because she talks about hiring for, the $4 an hour types of things and how to do that and how to get started with that, because she has a lot of experience with that. And she also has a really great list that you can get for free that's called, I think it's called like Delegate or Die. And I went through this a few months ago, and it has kind of every single thing that you could possibly think of having to do as a home manager and a business owner, and helping you to think through, are there things that you are doing that you could delegate? Are you doing too much? And really going through that list was very helpful. So I think if you just Google, I haven't done this, so tweet at me if this doesn't work, but I think you can just Google Chalene Johnson Delegate or Die, and I think it'll pull up the link to that list. If it doesn't, tweet at me. I'm at MoneySavingMom on Twitter, and I'll find the link for you. So thank you so much, Cynthia. It's been honestly, like, there's been a lot of what's felt like spiritual warfare. I mean, some of the weirdest, oddest, most, I can't talk about it, but let's just say that it's been a rough year, and I'm really hoping that maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel soon, and I'm holding out for that. So, but I think that, with launching a book, that's always a big thing. But honestly, people are asking me, so how's your book launch going? And recently I've been like, it just feels like a very small thing compared to some of this big life stuff that matters so much more. And I think it gives you really good perspective and what really is going to matter at the end of the day. And that's relationships and people, and loving people well through hard times. And so that's just really what I'm seeking to do as a business leader. And and sometimes it's rough because there's no manual that really tells you this is how you walk through certain times. But anyway, you just keep pressing forward. So you found Shalene's checklist. Did you just Google that and that worked out? I hope. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for this long, I love the afternoon scopes. I feel like they're just a little bit more conversational and we can just hang out. And I'm loving that. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that you all have a good afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow around 7:30 a.m. for our morning motivation show. And remember that tomorrow is Friday, yay! And so on Friday we get to do Q&A and just ask me anything, and it'll be fun. And I think we're gonna do another giveaway tomorrow. So we'll see what's up with that. So I will see you in the morning. Have a great afternoon.